it's me today. I'm here to talk about the Good Girls Guide to Murder series by Holly Jackson. I recently read the last book of this trilogy, so I thought it'd be fun to do a series discussion for the series. I know it's very well loved, so you probably don't need an extra opinion on it, but I thought I'd still give you like a full overview of the series and what I thought of them. This video will be completely spoiler free, so if you haven't read the series yet, don't worry. But yeah, let's just get into things. So in this series we follow Pip, and a couple of years before this book starts, a girl goes missing in her town. Like, she lives in a very small town, and a girl goes missing, and while the investigation is going on, her boyfriend ends up committing suicide, which makes the police assume that he killed her and then killed himself out of like guilt, and that's like case closed, everything's done. And then at the start of this book, which is a couple of years later, Pip has to do like the school project for her last year in high school, and she decides to do this about this case and her investigating everything that happened, because she doesn't believe that the story that the police told everyone is what actually happened. So she wants to investigate and like clear this guy's name, even though like he's dead. And yeah, that's this premise of the first book, but like each book has like its own mystery. I can go into that without spoiling anything, so that's just the storyline I'm giving you. So for these series discussion, I always do a ranking of the books, which I can hold them because I got all of them from the library, and I currently only have the third one with me, but I'll pop up covers. But honestly, my ranking for the series is the order of the series. My least favorite is As Good as Dead, and then the second place we have Good Girl Bad Blood, and first place we have the first book, which is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. So like this series kind of like deteriorated for me, sadly enough. Let's just go into like the individual reviews and see what I thought of each book and what kind of like what caused that ranking to happen. So the first book is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, which I gave 4 out of 5 stars. I thought this one was a very fun book. I had so much fun while reading it. I absolutely like flew through it. I thought Pip was an amazing character, and I really love following her. She's like very clever, and I loved seeing her like trying like finding clues and like figuring things out, like having all of these different theories and like just working things out with that. Kind of like my only complaint that I really had of this book is that I really liked the different side characters of like Pip's family and friends, but like we barely spent any time with them, and I just wish we could have gotten more of that, because because of that, Pip feels like a very isolated character in this book, and I would have liked to see more of like that connections with her friends and family. Something I really loved in this book is the mixed media aspect, and the series is very well known for having like this mixed media element to it, and in this one we get like a lot of like transcript from interviews and like different pictures and stuff, and I thought all of that was like really fun and really helped the story like come to life. And I really liked that was included, and like how that was part of the storytelling. And like I said, I had a hard time putting this book down. I feel like, if I remember correctly, I read this in like 1 or 2 sittings. I read this in like 24 hours, I do know that. I just absolutely like flew through it, and I had such a blast reading it. And I did predict some things that happened, but overall I was like shocked by a lot of the reveals, and I just had a blast reading it. So that's all I gotta know about the first book. And then the second book is Good Girl Bad Blood, which I gave 2 to 5 stars to, so I liked it a little bit less. And that is because I liked everything in this book besides the mystery. I feel like the mystery, there weren't really any clues given to us for the answer that we eventually ended up getting. There was like a lot of like clues to it's like storylines that went nowhere, like false leads. There was a lot of them, but like I feel like there weren't really any clues to like the actual answer. I don't like. I like being able to like figure things out with the characters. I don't like a reveal coming out of nowhere, which kind of seemed like with this one, and I didn't really like it. I wish we had a little bit more of a build up, but for the rest, I loved everything in this. This one fixed my main problem with the first book, which is that this one had a lot of great friendship dynamics and great scenes between Pip and her family, and it definitely like confirmed my idea that that was something missing in the first book, and I should wanted more of that in the first book. Like, confirm my idea, because it is really well done in this book. And then Pip, I thought had great character development in this book. She grows so much and she learns so much, and I really liked how it was done. I also really loved the podcast element in this one, because in this book she starts like a podcast to like talk about these things. It also like within like, because she's making a podcast as she's like solving the mystery, it does like also talk about how like outside opinions can kind of like affect investigations when stuff like this are publicized. Like, there's a lot of like people like theorizing about things online based on like the information in a podcast, like not knowing the people actually it's about, and it can create, and I really like the discussions it created around that as well. But like also just like the podcast like played a big part of like the mixed media element on this, and I thought that was also again really well done and a great part of like storytelling that I liked. And I really loved seeing the aftermath of book one played in this book. In this one we kind of get like the trials and stuff about like from the people that did things in the first book, and I really like seeing all of that like play out as well, and like having that like, kind of like as a subplot kind of throughout this book. I really like how that was done. And then lastly we have As Good as Dead, which I gave 1 out of 5 stars, which if you've been around here you know, and I've ranted on this book a lot and I apologize, but I really didn't like this one. One thing that I did like is that this is very dark compared to the other two books. Like the first two books are like very lighthearted, fun, fluffy, but like a lot of like things happen in those books, and it's starting to like take a toll on Pip in this book. And like you can see like the trauma that she's been through, like, and like all of the things she's been through, like the trauma, you can see it affect her in this book. And I really liked how that was done. I know it's a big criticism of this book is that it's way darker, but I liked that aspect of it because I thought it raised some interesting discussions, and I liked seeing an element, because I feel like a lot of times, especially in YA, kind of like main characters like go to like the worst things ever and like everything's fine, and it's just like not realistic. So I liked seeing like Pip struggle with those things, but that's kind of like the only thing I liked. There's a very interesting like stalker storyline in this one, but I feel like the way it ended up being resolved, which is very predictable, and I didn't like it, especially because Pip didn't see it coming at all, and she was like blindsided by the reveal, and it's like, oh my god, that was there from like the beginning, and I kind of like negate it, like it kind of undoes like all of her smart and cleverness from the first book. So I didn't really like that. And then this book is like basically split into 2 parts. And in the first part I feel like Pip's inner monologue was like super repetitive, which made it a little bit boring. And in the second half, which is like plain all bad, I feel like Pip made a lot of stupid decisions that made me want to rip my hair out from frustration, because it was so out of character, and it was just like the worst decision every single time, which also made the plot for the second bit, like for the second part, like very convoluted and just like didn't make sense. I didn't really like anything that happened either. I disliked it so much, and I wish I never read this book because I thought it was just so bad, and yeah, and it kind of like ruined how I look at the first 2 books as well, because this one was just so bad. But I've already wrapped it up with my overall thoughts, and that's that these are like very quick reads. Like even As Good as That, which I didn't like, and it's the biggest one in the series, I still read pretty quickly, relatively quickly, so they're great to like get through. Like they're very readable, I guess. And I really like how each book like has its own mystery, but like still they all like kind of flow together. Like events of the first book like I still talked about in like the second and the third book, and things come full circle and stuff. And I really like how I feel like that's realistic. This all takes place in like one small town, so it makes sense that these mysteries are like all connected to each other in like some way, even if it's like the smallest way possible. And I just really like how that was done throughout this book, like the series, how like each mystery stood on its own, but like also like you need to read all 3 books like in the right order, because like otherwise there's so many things that you're missing out on. It isn't just like Pip's personal life stuff, but like generally like part of like the mystery and how this town works and this town's history and stuff like that, because it all like affects each other. And I really like how it was done. I thought it was very well crafted. I also think this series like has great commentary on our justice system and the many problems wrong with it. I feel like I know in this one, because I read it recently, Holly Jackson talks about that in like the acknowledgements at the back. She talks about how she like talked about in this book about like the justice system and how it was like fucked up, and that throughout the series she wanted to let her like see these like flaws with it kind of like shine through. And I don't remember if like she talked about it in any of the other acknowledgements for the books, but because it's been a while since I read those, but like it's very obvious like that's what she's trying to do. I really liked how stuff like that was like discussed throughout this book, like throughout the series, and I really liked how it was done. And I want to applaud the series for like talking about like those problems in our justice system, because I feel like a lot of mystery and thrillers like don't really do that. So I really appreciate how it was done, at least once I've read. I'm not that well versed in the mystery thriller genre to actually be able to say that, but like from what I've read, it is like a very common thing, especially not like YA. So I really liked how that was done. I really love the characters in the series as well, not just Pip. I hated Pip in the last book, like for the rest I really love Pip, but I also really love all of the different side characters that make up this town, like her friends, her family, even just like random passerbyers that we see a couple of times in the series. I just thought that the author did like a great job of like bringing all of these characters to life, and I really liked that. And then of course lastly, I really loved the mixed media element in the series. I thought it was so well done, and I really liked how it was integrated into the story to be able to like enhance things and make things come to life more. And I'll definitely be checking out more about Holly Jackson. I know my view on the series is kind of like tainted because of the last book, but I do think Holly Jackson is an amazing author and is very like talented. She knows to craft very well, and I'm very excited to read more about it. She recently announced a new book, and I'm very excited to give that a read once it comes out. And yeah, those are all my thoughts on this series. Let me know in the comment below what you thought of the series if you've read them, and definitely feel free to go into spoiler detail because I would love to like discuss more spoilery things, but like I want to keep these videos spoiler free. But like leave a spoiler warning at the top of your comments so people who haven't read the series know not to read your comments. And that's kind of all I have for you today. I know it's a short one, but I find it hard to talk about these books without spoiling anything, but I feel like I still managed to convey my thoughts, hopefully. And I guess I'll see you guys next time. Good.